You're watching Good Morning Suncoast at 5.
A look at radar this morning as Tropical Depression Gordon continues to be on the move and head toward Arkansas.
Plus, did the foster system fail the 2-year-old boy that was killed in Pinellas County? We've got some new developments to tell you about this morning.
And money experts are stressing just how important your credit score is. We've got 3 easy ways you can increase your score. Those stories plus your first alert forecast. Good Morning Suncoast starts right now. And good morning, early risers. Glad you're with us. 5 o'clock. I'm Ray Collins.
And I'm Stephanie Webb. Thanks for waking up with us this morning. Also waking up to another interesting day on tap with John Scalzi.
Is anybody amazed that it's Thursday already?
Yes.
It's just a day has gone by so fast this week. So here on Satellite View, we have a couple of things to look at. We have a cluster of showers kind of left over from our old activity yesterday. Plus, we have an upper level spinning low. You can kind of make out the swirl in the clouds here. This is not a surface low. It's not an issue. But what it will do is eventually help switch our winds around back to that southwesterly wind flow. We'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. For this morning, plenty of sunshine to greet you. We have a few scattered showers over on the other coast. Like the last several days, an easterly wind flow will bring those showers across the peninsula into our area. It'll bang into our sea breeze front, and we'll get thunderstorms later in the day. Temperatures across the region generally holding in the 70s. We've got some upper 70s along the coast, low 70s to mid 70s in inland areas. Back to you guys.
Thank you, John. US 301 showing some buildup as you head over State Road 70 in Manatee County. Otherwise, pretty clear so far in the northern half of our viewing area. Checking Sarasota County, nothing in the red besides a little blip there way up on University Parkway in the westbound lane around Whitfield. Be aware of that. Otherwise, all clear. And then our South County map, not much to speak of so far at 5:01.
Our top story this morning, new developments in the case of that 2-year-old in Pinellas County. This morning, his mother is behind bars after having confessed to killing him. But was there a chance his life could have been different?
This story keeps on developing. Our Marla Spence joins us now with new information that involves the foster care system. Marla?
Well, guys, we are continuing to learn more in this case surrounding 2-year-old Jordan Bellevue, who was found dead in a wooded area near Largo Tuesday afternoon. Now we're learning the foster parents of 2-year-old Jordan say they wanted to adopt him as their own, but the system failed Jordan. They say they fostered him when he was only 5 months old and even learned how to roll over and crawl in their home. But in May, he was reunited with his birth mom, 21-year-old Cherie Stinson. She admits to hitting him in the face with the back of her hand, causing his head to hit a wall inside her apartment. After the blow, Stinson says Jordan suffered from seizures, leading to his death. Stinson says she carried Jordan's body out to the wooded area where he was later found. Largo police say Stinson's original story about a man taking the boy was all a lie.
We had released a composite and information on an Antoine. We do not believe there was an Antoine. There was no Antoine related to this case. We don't believe there was a white Camry. That was all fabricated by Ms. Stinson to help cover her alibi for what she had actually done. So we are not currently looking for that person.
And Stinson was in court yesterday when Jordan's foster parents came forward. The judge setting a $500,000 bond for aggravated child abuse and no bond for first-degree murder. Stinson continues to sit in the Pinellas County Jail. Ray and Stephanie.
All right, thank you, Marla. Happening right now, the first major hurricane of the season has now been upgraded to a Category 4 with strong winds of 130 miles per hour. Hurricane Florence could pose a threat to Bermuda and the mid-Atlantic states. It's expected to be a powerful hurricane for several days. Meantime, Tropical Depression Gordon continues to weaken over central Mississippi after it hit the Gulf Coast as a tropical storm. So far, 1 child has been killed by Gordon after a tree fell on a mobile home.
Now, as we hit the peak of hurricane season, I've seen a little more activity these days in the tropics. Are you having some bad flashbacks from last year's hurricane season? Well, if so, you aren't alone, and it turns out even kids can get stressed out about those weather events. So what can you as a parent do? Well, first, just talk to your kids. Reassure them your family has a plan, you'll keep them safe, and then explain what's happening. Even more important as a parent, set a calm example during those storms so the kids will follow your lead. Are actually improving along our beaches. Businesses are still struggling. Sales in some places have dropped so much that business owners in Venice are asking their landlords for help with the rent. Now, Sharky's on the pier says sales dropped close to 70% this summer. Now, in the restaurant's lease with the city, there's actually a clause that does allow it to negotiate rent if there is a toxic algae outbreak that lasts more than 30 days.
The rent reduction part of the lease has actually been in the lease since 1987. So the fact that we've never really had to use that clause for the 31 years we've been around is pretty remarkable, but it just also goes to show you how bad it has been this year.
Now, what's interesting is out of the 45 businesses that ABC7 spoke to, Sharky's and Finn's were the only ones with this kind of clause in their contract.
The federal government will open a disaster loan outreach center in Holmes Beach to help businesses impacted by red tide. The temporary center will be open on Friday, 11 a.m. at the Island Branch Library on Marina Drive. Representatives from the U.S. Small Business Administration will be on hand to talk about disaster loans. 11 o'clock Friday. For additional hours, we've got a link on our website, mysuncoast.com.
Well, scientists at Moat Marine say they're trying to figure out just how many snook have been affected by red tide. Now, Gasparilla and Little Gasparilla Islands have experienced the highest number of fish deaths during this red tide bloom. So studying the snook in those areas will actually help them come up with some strategies to recover that population. So how do they do it? Well, scientists at Moat, as well as trained volunteers, catch, count, measure, tag, and then release the snook.
You can see all of our continuing red tide coverage in one place. Head to mysuncoast.com/redtide.
And you'll soon be seeing more anti-drug spots on TV these days. Drug-Free Manatee is starting a new campaign to bring attention to National Recovery Month in October. Now, it features the journeys of 4 different people going through the recovery process. The goal, trying to get more people dealing with addiction and substance abuse to seek treatment. Now, those ads will start next month and will air through the new year.
Public restrooms are coming to St. Armand's Circle. Sarasota City Commissioners approved plans this week. Construction should begin in about 8 months on 2 freestanding restrooms on the grassy medians of the circle. Many visitors complain about the lack of restrooms. The St. Armand's Business Improvement District will pay the $583,000 needed to build it, and then the city will pay over $100,000 a year, every year, for maintenance.
Want to move your workout to the beach? Well, you can now. New fitness stations are up at Coquina Beach, paid for with money earned from beach concession stands. Now, they're all located close to the water and the sand to encourage more people to work out at the beach.
Looking ahead to the weekend, the Wildlife Center of Venice, along with the Peace River Wildlife Center, is offering a free wildlife rescue training class. It's to teach volunteers how to rescue wildlife and transport them safely to centers. It is Saturday from 10 a.m. till noon at Cedar Point Park in Englewood.
Well, it is no secret whether you're buying a new car or a new house or even applying for a new job, your credit report and the score can be a deal breaker. In today's Consumer Watch, Mary Maloney has 3 proven tips to boost that all-important number.
If you've got bad credit, that's a good thing.
What's your number? According to financial coach Alok Deshpan, a low credit score can actually be a blessing in disguise.
Because you can't borrow any more money. And a lot of times that will protect you from you.
He says there are 3 things you could do right now to raise your score. Number 1, pay your bills on time.
One bill that's late, as far as a bank is concerned and the credit reporting agencies, means that you're in some form of financial distress. You didn't have the money to pay for it.
2, keep your credit use low, preferably below 30% of what's available to you.
Let's say that you have a $1,000 limit on your credit card, but you're using $800. Well, what the bank thinks is, man, you're using every piece of credit that you've been given. That might mean that you don't have any cash.
And number 3, avoid applying for credit in a lot of different places.
The more of those that you sign up for, the more it looks like you're going out there looking for money. And that's a concern for credit reporting agencies.
Instead, opt for a secure credit card. It works just like your normal credit card, but the limit you get is based on a deposit you put down. And the credit card issuer can pull money from the deposit if you don't make a payment.
Instead of focusing on how do I improve my credit, let me focus on building the right financial behaviors, and the credit will automatically follow.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Mary Maloney.
Another tip, stay on top of your credit report. Apps out there like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame, they offer free credit monitoring and even help if you need to dispute something.
Still ahead on Good Morning Suncoast, a flight from Dubai to New York had to be quarantined on arrival. And wait until you hear which famous 90s rapper was on board.
It had to be de-iced baby.
Oh, there's a hint.
There we go. Later in the hour, it is a big day for over 70,000 Disney employees. We're going to tell you what they're voting on today and how it could be a game changer at the park. But first,
it is 5:10 right now on your Thursday morning. Peek outside our studios at the downtown skyline looking south from our tower. Let's get the forecast for today now from John Scalzi.
So pretty dry during the morning hours. Again, your commute should be just fine. As we head into the afternoon, we'll look for increasing rain chances. That's why we've checked the rain box on the drive time forecast, because I do believe that on the trip home, there will be some scattered showers and thunderstorms around. Some of them could produce some strong gusty winds, but a low rain chance for the morning commute. All the airport hubs serving Sarasota Bradenton running on time according to the FAA. We'll be right back with your forecast.
Watch Saturdays at midnight on ABC 7. Premieres September 8th.
At Tidewell Hospice, we know it's never too late to say thank you to our military veterans. The Tidewell Honors Veterans Program has provided care to more than 13,000 military families since 2008. Tidewell volunteers help honor veterans through special pinning ceremonies that demonstrate our appreciation for the freedom our veterans fought to defend. If you know a veteran who can benefit from end-of-life care, call or visit tidewell.org today. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
It's hard to see when you're outside at night. It's time for the Atomic Beam Sunblast, the new solar-powered light that's super bright. Atomic Beam Sunblast lets you add a light anywhere, and the atomic solar panels charge the built-in lithium-ion battery quickly. Then the 180-degree motion sensor turns on the light when you get near and automatically turns off when you disappear. Look, here's a best-selling outdoor solar light, and here's the super bright Atomic Beam Sunblast. Get the super bright Atomic Beam Sunblast for only $19.99. But wait, call right now and you can double your order and get a second Sunblast, plus our best-selling Atomic Beam Flashlight. Just pay a separate fee. That's 2 Atomic Beam Sunblasts and the Atomic Beam Flashlight. Call now.
Call 1-800-431-6640. That's 1-800-431-6640. Or visit mysunblast.com. So call 1-800-431-6640. Order now.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
Now your ABC 7 First Alert Weather Forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
77 degrees, dew point value 76. We have that east-northeast wind coming in at about 7, so we're pretty much in the same position that we were 24 hours ago, and we'll probably end up to be pretty close to where we were yesterday as well. Plenty of sunshine to start the day. Very little rain chance through the morning hours. By afternoon, about a 30% chance of inland storms. Hardy and DeSoto County, you'll probably start to see a few storms starting to work their way in. Mostly in the form of showers, but thunderstorms will start to develop later in the afternoon around 3 o'clock or so in inland areas, and then drift to the coastline with about a 40% rain chance as we head into the 7 p.m. time frame. Similar to yesterday, not much really changing here. An easterly wind flow, plenty of moisture to work with. Everything's kind of all lined up to bring us again today an east wind pattern with features showers and thunderstorms building along our sea breeze front later in the afternoon. Now that whole pattern is going to change around as we head into the weekend and we start to develop a different kind of wind flow. Quiet right now on radar. Everything looks good. By the way, the river warning from Mayaca has now been allowed to expire. High pressure, the dominant weather feature, easterly wind coming our way. Now eventually, as we head into the weekend, that high pressure ridge is going to be allowed to sink a little bit further down to the south, and our winds are going to shift from a southeasterly direction to a more southwesterly direction. And what that means is you catch that late morning, early afternoon shower near the coastline. Then everything is pushed inland and toward the other coast for the heaviest of the rain later in the afternoon. So most of our afternoons, I think, on Saturday, Sunday, probably Monday, are going to feature some somewhat lowered rain chances during the afternoon. So good news there for the weekend, I guess. We'll look for that east wind to continue on today, though, bringing those showers across the peninsula into our area, banging up against our sea breeze front and producing the thunderstorm activity. For today, good chances of afternoon storms. We're still watching Florence's track, and that southwest wind, that'll return this weekend. It may perhaps bring a little bit more red tide toxin closer to shore. We'll see how that actually plays out. So, satellite view of the tropics shows two areas of concern. One, of course, is Florence, a full-fledged strong hurricane, major hurricane, and then this tropical wave, which has about a 90% chance of development over 5 days, and we'll be watching that one as well. Of course, Florence, the one in the news now, has rapidly increased to a major hurricane status. It is kind of weakening just a little bit right now, but forecast to regain intensity after it does weaken under the influence of some shear, back up to a Category 3 storm by Tuesday. From this point, we're going to watch it pretty carefully. Computer models are still in somewhat disagreement. The consensus is that it heads on a more westerly direction. One computer model takes it pretty close to the mid-Atlantic coastline, but the spread of the computer models is still pretty wide. So this is a low confidence forecast in the long term. And basically what I'm saying here is, with this computer model showing it getting closer to the United States, don't ignore it, particularly if you have interest in the mid-Atlantic or northeast United States coastline. So we are looking at an east wind coming in at about 10. Oh, by the way, there's probably a small, very little chance that it would go back down to the south and affect the state of Florida. But we'll keep an eye on it, obviously. 60% chance of showers today and tomorrow, 92 both days. As we head into the weekend, perhaps we'll reduce the rain chance a smidge. And then as we head into next week, we'll probably keep our temperatures solidly in the 90s. Back to you.
All right, John, thank you so much. We're going to take a look at your first alert traffic out there this morning. Starting off in Manatee County, those roads are pretty decent out there so far. No real traffic updates or anything like that. Everything is running pretty smooth. In the top half of Sarasota County, nothing really to take a look at there. Just a little bit of a slowdown if you're headed towards 75 on Bee Ridge, a little bit of delay getting on the highway right there. And if your commute is going to take you farther south towards Port Charlotte, 75 and 41 is running pretty smooth so far this morning. Well, the CDC had to quarantine a plane at JFK Airport that had just flown in from Dubai after dozens of passengers reported feeling sick. Now, this Air Emirates flight had 521 passengers on board when it landed. Now, they were held right there on the tarmac for hours and quarantined. Eventually, those sick passengers were taken to the hospital, but at this point, they believe that it was just a bad flu outbreak. Now, if that situation wasn't strange enough, one of the passengers on board was none other than 90s rapper Vanilla Ice, who described the scene.
I look out the window and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, there's like hundreds of ambulances. It felt like that scene from E.T. when they're quarantined, you know, like all these people come in like hazmat and stuff.
That story just took such a strange twist right there. Well, we know what Vanilla Ice is up to these days. And now the good news, all the passengers who were screened and released were able to continue on with all of their trips. That flight was carrying more than 500 passengers, as we told you.
It is still summertime, but doctors say it's never too soon to start thinking about flu shots. Last year's flu season was one of the worst on record. Urgent care centers are already receiving the vaccines. Medical experts say get your flu shot early.
It's prevention. We never know exactly what flu strains will be coming through in a particular year or into an entire 2-year period, which sometimes the flu season runs through. And any protection helps give you that extra defense.
You can get a flu shot at several different pharmacies or urgent care centers around the Suncoast.
Still to come on Good Morning Suncoast, we're going to tell you what a North Dakota golf course is literally dropping from the sky to help boost their membership.
And next half hour, Surf's Up. And so too are salaries for women.
Oh, well done, Wade.
Thank you.
Well done.
Working that all night. 5:20 right now. There is a shot of downtown Atlanta, Centennial Park. A little Ferris wheel there. If they serve cotton candy there as well.
Oh, that's a great question. I wonder if Vanilla Ice is also there.
You want to sing, don't you?
I do,
Want
but I won't.
Want to sing one lyric for us?
Nope. Ice, ice, baby.
You know that one.
Bum, 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 bum.
More news after this. Stay with us.
You like to pay less. That's why you made Honda Accord the best-selling mid-size car in America. Get the redesigned Accord, the North American Car of the Year, or Civic, a KBB.com Best Buy for less than the competition. Like SUVs and trucks? Get Motor Trend's SUV of the Year, CRV, the 8-passenger Pilot, or Ridgeline truck for up to $4,240 less today at your local Honda dealer.
Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 Digital Media Services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 Digital Media Services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
Kettle's got it. Kettle's got it. Kettle's got what you're looking for at Kettle.com. 17 new car brands, over 1,000 used vehicles, prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it, and they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Kettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Kettle's got that too. Kettle's got it. Visit Kettle.com.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon? You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back. In this morning's Science Minute, scientists have discovered something new on Saturn. NASA's Cassini spacecraft detected a high-altitude vortex on the planet's north pole in the shape of a hexagon. So you might be asking yourself, what the heck is a vortex? Well, it is best described as something similar to our jet stream here on Earth. They found a similar one on the South Pole back in 2004. Well, dropping burgers from the sky, and it turns out that Uber rating of yours really can matter.
Those stories in today's Tech Bites.
In today's Tech Bites, the federal government is looking into social media sites.
The Justice Department has called a meeting with state officials to discuss claims companies like Facebook and Twitter may be deliberately blocking the free exchange of ideas on their platforms. The companies deny any bias. Uber is expanding its blocking of low-rated riders.
Yeah, Uber customers in Australia and New Zealand will be removed from the app if their rating goes below 4 stars. The company says that move is aimed at improving passenger behavior. The practice is already implemented in Brazil and other countries. No word if that's coming to the U.S. And a golf course wants to boost membership, so it's using a drone to deliver burgers and drinks to people on the course.
The drone lowers the food down on a rope after players order using an app.
I dig it.
Pretty nifty.
Bring it on down.
Cheeseburger?
Those are your Tech Bites.
Have a great day. Seriously, though.
Come with it, right?
Tech Bites, sponsored by Eliquis.
After my DVT blood clot, I wondered, is another one around the corner? Or could it be different than I thought? I wanted to help protect myself. My doctor recommended Eliquis. Eliquis is proven to treat and help prevent another DVT or PE blood clot. Almost 98% of patients on Eliquis didn't experience another. And Eliquis has significantly less major bleeding than the standard treatment. Eliquis is FDA approved and has both.
Don't stop Eliquis unless your doctor tells you to. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve or abnormal bleeding. If you had a spinal injection while on Eliquis, call your doctor right away if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. While taking Eliquis, you may bruise more easily, and it may take longer than usual for bleeding to stop. Seek immediate medical care for sudden signs of bleeding, like unusual bruising. Eliquis may increase your bleeding risk if you take certain medicines. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures.
What's around the corner could be surprising. Ask your doctor about Eliquis.
Everything all right? Actually, you know how Tom had knee surgery? Sure. We found out Brad's been taking his painkillers. And it turns out he's been doing it for a while.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Tanya, come here.
Learning the right steps. 2, 3, 4. Or making contact. It's not just about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about making the connection. It's about proving every kid and teen who enters our doors has what it takes. Great futures start here.
A promise was made. A promise that hit the beaches of Normandy. A vow that captured Iwo Jima. A contract that weathered Tet. A pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq. An IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator. There was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs. Stop the crimes.
You're watching Good Morning Suncoast at 5:30.
A look at radar this morning as the now tropical depression, Gordon, continues to be on the move. We'll tell you where it's headed.
Plus, a new study shows more and more bottlenose dolphins in Sarasota Bay have been exposed to chemicals.
And it's a story that is going viral. We're going to tell you how a police officer's act of kindness is going a long way. We have those stories, plus your Friday Eve forecast. It also begins right now on Good Morning Suncoast.
See, I love those stories.
I do too. I love those positive stories out there. Sometimes this mornings we don't have enough of them.
We need more stories like that in our society sometimes, don't we?
Yeah, agree. I agree. Over to John Scalzi, who's always our positive beacon of light.
Try to be half full guy. So we're looking at some pretty quiet conditions across the Suncoast right now. Lots of sunshine out there as dawn breaks on the Suncoast. I think we'll see our temperatures pretty rapidly rise up. Yesterday we hit 93 degrees. I think we'll probably get pretty close to that again today. A few scattered showers over on the other coast, riding on that easterly wind, moving into our area as temperatures are pretty much where they were yesterday. 75s in inland areas, 77s and 8s nearer the coast. The rainfall chance today comes in at about 60% where we were yesterday. A few scattered showers around. And daytime high topping out again in the low 90s. Back to you.
All right, John, talk to you again soon. Checking first alert traffic now. There's the scene as we speak in Manatee County. A little blip there on 14th Street West northbound as you cross over State Road 70. Farther south, there's the drill in northern Sarasota County. Little buildup there in the eastbound lane on University Parkway at the very top of your screen. It goes from, say, Tuttle toward Whitfield. And then our South County map is all clear at 5:31 on your Thursday morning.
And a new study shows that more and more bottlenose dolphins in Sarasota Bay have been exposed to chemicals. About 70% of all of the dolphins tested have been exposed to man-made chemicals usually found in cleaning products like pesticides, cosmetics, even plastic. Several researchers from the College of Charleston and other organizations helped take urine samples from 17 dolphins in the last 2 years.
We want to know how they're getting exposed or where they're getting exposed, and we're also interested in trying to understand if exposure to these chemicals impact their health.
There's over 100,000 chemicals that people have put into the waters. We need to be concerned about the potential. We need to monitor it closely. We need to continue the studies over time and recognize that there may be places where the concentrations of these chemicals are even higher than Sarasota Bay, where they could potentially be of even greater concern.
Now, experts from the Sarasota Dolphin Research Program say there are about 170 bottlenose dolphins in the bay. Researchers tell us they're expecting more studies to be done on this in the coming years, which should provide some more answers.
Meantime, update now from Moat Marine, where one of 3 pygmy killer whales that was rescued after being stranded has now died. The whale was rescued last week on Clearwater Beach. The cause of the death is unknown at this time, but Moat officials say he was the sickest of the 3 brought in for care. One other pygmy killer whale rescued last week on Clearwater Beach and another from Longbow Key are still there. Their condition is critical and they're receiving round-the-clock care.
And a developing story this morning for a country that's already dealt with deadly floods, typhoons, heat waves, and landslides just this year. Japan cannot catch a break. Yet another natural disaster has struck, this one in the form of a 6.7 magnitude earthquake on the northern island of Hokkaido. At least 2 people there have been killed and a number of homes have all been buried by landslides.
A federal judge has denied a request from Paul Manafort's legal team to move his second criminal trial out of Washington. Manafort's lawyers said there are too many Hillary Clinton supporters in D.C. and he can't get a fair trial there. A judge denied a request to move the case to rural Roanoke, Virginia. He made the same request in his last trial. Jury statements begin September 17th. President Trump's former campaign manager is facing another trial based on allegations by the special counsel.
Well, Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh will take the hot seat again this morning after a grueling round of questions that stretched into late last night. ABC's Diane Macedo has a look.
A heated confirmation hearing on Capitol Hill. Senators pressed Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh for more than 12 hours, grilling him on everything from guns to civil rights and whether President Trump chose him so he would rule in the president's favor in any cases stemming from Robert Mueller's investigation. Kavanaugh offered a personal declaration of independence.
No one is above the law in our constitutional system.
Asked if the president could fire Mueller, Kavanaugh referenced 1973, when Richard Nixon fired Archibald Cox, the special prosecutor investigating Watergate.
But if the president could fire an independent counsel or the special counsel, is that any restraint at all?
That hypothetical was tested, I suppose, in September of 1973, if I have my month right.
Senators asked Kavanaugh if a president has the right to pardon himself, something President Trump has asserted he can do.
The question of self-pardons is something I have never analyzed. It's a question that I have not written about.
On abortion rights, Kavanaugh called Roe v. Wade an important precedent of the Supreme Court that has been reaffirmed many times. But here's what he said when asked if it could be overturned.
I understand the importance that people attach to the Roe v. Wade decision, to the Planned Parenthood versus Casey decision. I don't live in a bubble.
Can you think of any laws that give the government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
Diane Macedo, ABC News, New York.
Happening today, over 70,000 employees at Walt Disney World are voting on whether or not to approve a new contract that will increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour there. Now, if approved, it will take place over the next 3 years. Union officials said that contract would have an impact outside of the park as other non-unionized businesses in Central Florida's low-wage service economy compete for tourism workers in a pretty tight job market there. Now, that contract would cover more than half of those workers at Disney World. Besides raising the minimum wage, the proposed 4-year contract would also raise wages for the existing workers by at least $4.70 an hour by October 2021.
The sport of surfing is one of the fastest growing in the world, and now it's going down in history as well. The World Surf League has announced equal prize money will be awarded to male and female competitors starting next year. Now, surfing will be in the Olympics for the first time ever in Tokyo in 2020. 5:36 right now. When responding to a fire, of course, seconds matter, and a new device is helping firefighters see in the dark. This is a thermal imaging camera. It can actually spot differences of temperatures so firefighters can find victims immediately.
Need something like this in order to be able to help find people or do your job. It helps find hot spots in the fire as well where we have not put something out we need to.
And Chief Miller says donations from the community up in Philadelphia help make this happen in their community.
Meanwhile, in Sarasota, 4 new Sarasota County school police officers will be sworn in today. Now, you can attend this service as well from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. You can attend the ceremony. It's all happening at Tatum Ridge Elementary School in East Sarasota.
And a police officer in Michigan is getting attention for going above and beyond the call of duty. Reporter Allie Hoxie has the story.
That's not going to get you anywhere, really.
Dolores Murata approached the cashier at Citco this past Friday requesting $3 on pump 3. Officer Todd Bing, a St. Clair Shores police officer, was standing in line behind her.
And I didn't have a lot of money. I had a couple dollars and $1 and change.
Once outside, he offered to pump her gas. She sat inside her car and thought...
It seemed like he was putting in a lot of gas because I only told him $3.
Officer Bing had put in an extra $20. Turns out Dolores has been through a lot, struggling to make ends meet since her husband passed away a few years ago.
I just says God must have sent him there for me, you know.
The owner of the Citco gas station who rung her up watched this all unfold.
I thought very highly of him. I thought it was a great thing to do.
So he snapped a pic and put it on Facebook. His post now has 16,000 shares and 3,500 comments. People are thanking the police officer for his good deed and putting his life on the line day in and day out.
That interaction there was kind of just had nothing to do with, for me in the moment, being a police officer. It was just a human thing.
And the gas station's owner has chipped in too, setting up a GoFundMe account for the woman. Nice, huh?
I like that. I love those kind of stories.
Oh, nice gesture by that police officer.
Yeah, very much so.
Still ahead at 5:39, new developments in the murder of a Pinellas County toddler. Could his life have been saved? We'll tell you the latest twist in this story. Very tragic story, an Amber Alert that suddenly, abruptly ended.
The story's been changing almost by the day. All
Yeah.
these new details are coming out in there.
There's a peek outside our studios at the downtown skyline. Just love that picture. Looks like it's computer generated. Let's talk now about what the kids will face as they go to the bus stop this morning. Here is Professor John Scalzi.
Thank you, Ray. School bus forecast features, well, pretty quiet conditions for the pickup time. I think as the kids get picked up, we're looking at a temperature coming in at about 76 degrees with mostly sunny conditions. There'll be a few fair weather clouds around, but on the way home again this afternoon, a few scattered showers and thunderstorms beginning in inland areas and later in the day progressing toward the coastline. A 9 out of 10 chance of an outside recess today. The biggest threat being, of course, those slight rain chances during the morning and very early afternoon. We'll have the complete forecast for you in just a second.
Today, everyone is looking for more fashionable choices in flooring than ever before. And G. Fried has responded with a huge selection of carpets, tile, wood, laminate, and vinyl. Installed by a highly skilled team, G. Fried has got everything you're looking for and more. The next time you think about quality flooring, think G. Fried Flooring America. G. Fried Flooring America. Our world is at your feet.
Gettle's got what you're looking for at Gettle.com. 17 new car brands, over 1,000 used vehicles, prices and payments you can afford. Credit help if you need it, and they pay cash for your old car. Plus, Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Need service? Gettle's got that too. Gettle's got it. Visit Gettle.com.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 78.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Now your ABC 7 First Alert Weather Forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
77-degree air temperature, dew point value 76, 96% relative humidity. We are almost exactly in the same spot we were 24 hours ago at this time. We have an east-northeast wind coming in at about 7. A nice starry sky mixed with a few fair weather clouds. I think we'll see plenty of sunshine as dawn breaks on the Suncoast, and that'll help boost our temperature pretty rapidly up into the 80s. We'll be at 87 degrees by about 12 noon. Then we'll factor in a chance at a shower in inland areas, not along the coastline. We stay dry along the coast till probably around 3, 4, 5 o'clock. At that point, some of those showers that build inland will be drifting toward the coast, where they'll collide with our sea breeze and explode into a few thunderstorms around. Just like we saw yesterday, about a rain chance of 60% should do it. These showers are riding on that easterly wind flow, and it continues throughout the afternoon, moving across the peninsula into our neck of the woods later in the day. A pattern that is well established with this easterly wind flow will continue for probably 2 more days. And then we start to see a little bit of a change up. One river warning left for the Peace Horse River. High pressure, the dominant weather feature. We'll watch that east wind continue. Its position locked in place for a couple of more days. At upper levels, we have a little area of low pressure that's spinning around, helping to induce a few of these Atlantic showers. They get pushed across the peninsula, meet our sea breeze, and that's when things start to take off. Now, this pattern is going to change up a little bit as we head into the weekend, and that high pressure ridge begins to sink a little further to the south. When that happens, our easterly wind flow will switch to a more southwesterly wind flow, and that means a change in the timing of our storms. We'll get those storms, light showers that come our way in the late morning, early afternoon, and then move toward the other coast, where we'll see the potential for some heavier rainfall along the other coast, not our coast. So the afternoons on Saturday, Sunday, Monday should probably remain fairly dry. But not today. Today, good chance for afternoon storms. We'll watch Florence. Whoa, she's going to track. And then that southwesterly wind flow returning during the weekend. So last half hour, we showed you what might happen with Florence and why we need to keep an eye out for it. But there's also these tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa, several of them, in fact. And the first one has a chance of development of 90%. Now, some computer models take these series of little tropical waves and move them right across the Atlantic, riding on this westerly current. So by about 7 to 10 days from now, we're going to have to keep a pretty close eye on these storms and see if they do develop and exactly what track they may take. It's too early to tell exactly if it'll have any effect whatsoever on the state of Florida. And of course, Florence concerns the mid-Atlantic at this point because of great unknowns in its forecast track as well. So we're at the height of hurricane season, and it's a good time to remember, if you do not have your hurricane plan of action, that you and your family should get together and develop one. East wind coming in at about 10 today. We'll watch for a 2-foot sea, light chop on your bay and inland waters. And the forecast for the week ahead looks pretty good. 60% chance of showers today and tomorrow. Daytime highs around 92. As we head into the weekend, we'll start to shift our winds around a little, again to the southwest. That'll encourage the heaviest of the rain to fall on the other coast, so we'll trim down our rain chances just a little bit. And then as we head into midweek next week, of course, we'll be watching the tropics. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, John. Let's take a look outside and check out your first alert traffic. You can see right there in the middle of Manatee County, 301 State Road 70, plenty of red and yellow in that intersection. Lots of delays right there right now. Now heading a little bit farther south in the area into the top half of Sarasota County. Those roads are looking pretty decent. Little blurb right there on Clark Road, but nothing to really be too aware of. And then if you're going to go a little bit farther south in the area, 75 and 41 are both running pretty smooth at this hour. It's 5:47, and that is your first alert traffic. Our top story this morning, new developments in the death of that 2-year-old in Pinellas County. This morning, his mother is behind bars after having confessed to killing him. But was there a chance his life could have been different?
Some foster parents think so. Marla Spence is here to explain. Marla?
Well, guys, we are continuing to learn more in this case surrounding 2-year-old Jordan Bellevue, who was found dead in a wooded area near Largo Tuesday afternoon. Now we're learning the foster parents of 2-year-old Jordan say they wanted to adopt him as their own, but the system failed Jordan. They say they fostered him when he was only 5 months old and even learned how to roll over and crawl in their home. But in May, he was reunited with his birth mom, 21-year-old Cherise Stinson, who admitted to causing her son's son's death. The Pinellas County Child Protection Investigation Division released documents yesterday detailing at least 10 reports since October 2016 against Stinson and Jordan's father. Caseworkers say the house was never cleaned, the father sold and used drugs at the home, and both the mother and father was known to be violent and dangerous people. In that case of Jordan's death, Stinson admits to hitting the boy in the face with the back of her hand, causing his head to hit a wall inside of her apartment. And after the blow, Stinson says Jordan had several seizures leading to his death. Stinson says she carried Jordan's body out to a wooded area where he was later found, and Largo police say Stinson's original story about a man taking the boy after accepting a car ride was all a lie.
During her interview, she would constantly change what she was saying based on the line of questioning. There was no feeling with them that there was any remorse, only her attempting to escape the reality of the story by making things up as she went.
And Stinson was in court yesterday when Jordan's foster parents came forward. The judge setting a $500,000 bond for aggravated child abuse and no bond for first-degree murder. Stinson continues to sit in the Pinellas County Jail. Ray and Stephanie.
All right, thank you so much, Marla. Well, police in Maryland say a woman was mauled to death by the dog that she adopted just 2 weeks ago. Barry Sims reports.
And she would talk to the animals, and she was wonderful.
That's how family members want Robin Conway remembered. Police say the 64-year-old longtime Columbia resident was mauled to death by a pit bull. Police say it happened in the backyard of Conway's home on Tamar Drive. Conway's family says when her husband discovered his seriously injured wife, the dog was still standing over her. The husband called 911 and tied the dog to a fence post. Conway was pronounced dead at the scene.
This was one animal she thought she could save, that one animal that needed to be rescued, and the animal unfortunately killed her.
According to police, while tied to the post, the dog continued barking and lunging. 2 weeks ago, Conway brought the dog home and began providing foster care.
All we know at this point is that the dog was not adopted locally. Apparently, she got him from out of state. He's a pit bull, and unfortunately, as a result of this incident, he had to be euthanized.
And you know what? They were great. They were great. And I know I have friends that have been owners of pit bull mixes, and they were great. So there was something wrong, obviously, with this particular dog that is not to be taken as something to be held against all pit bulls or pit bull mixes, because there's some lovely ones out there.
A new 6-part documentary on the impeachment of Bill Clinton will feature new interviews from Monica Lewinsky. They call it a real-life political thriller about one of the biggest scandals in our nation's history. President Clinton had an affair with his intern and later lied about it. The series starts on the 18th of November on A&E. The Clintons did not agree to be interviewed. 5:51 will update the day's top news headlines after this on Good Morning Suncoast. Stay right there.
There you go. But first, there's a look outside into downtown Sarasota. John Scalzi will have a final look at today's weather as well. You're watching Good Morning Suncoast right here on ABC 7.
During the past 10 years, Tidewell Hospice volunteers have provided more than 1 million hours of service. They sit with patients, giving caregivers a break. They work in offices. They take their furry friends on pet therapy visits. They even clown around. Every task performed by a volunteer makes a difference in the lives of our patients and their families. Join Tidewell's volunteer team. They're truly 1 in a million. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
We've been fighting the war on drugs for a long time. We answer the phone 24/7, 365 days a year. On a busy night, we answer hundreds of calls. This war on drugs needs our intervention.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has helped people struggling with drugs and alcohol.
When the phone rings, we help people when they need it the most. When we get a caller into treatment, it feels right. It feels good. It's a blessing.
If you're struggling, drinking, using, and need to get clean, don't suffer alone in silence. Call Addiction Hope and Helpline.
Our people understand, and many are also in recovery. Call for support and strength. You can call for someone who can't or isn't willing. It's an act of love. Together we can help you beat this thing. and erase addiction from your vocabulary once and for all.
Call 800-871-1644. 800-871-1644.
I am the resident district manager on the FAU campus for Chartwell. Whenever I see Haley, I do not see a person with a disability. I see a person with extraordinary abilities. Haley is always smiling. She's always on time. She gives fantastic customer service and is always focused on any job that she's given.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish.
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back. It is 5:54, and here are some of the stories that we're following for you on the Suncoast today.
Moat Marine says one of the 3 pygmy killer whales stranded and rescued in the Gulf has now died. 2 others remain in critical condition.
Plus, Drug-Free Manatee is a new media campaign for National Recovery Month in October. The goal is to try to get more people struggling with drug addiction to seek treatment. It kicks off next month.
And construction starts next spring on public restrooms in St. Armand Circle. Merchants in the Circle will pay the $500,000 price tag, and the city will pay $100,000 a year every year going forward for maintenance.
And now over to John for one last look at your Thursday forecast.
So we're looking at 3 things that are coming up on our headline board today. The east wind pattern featuring afternoon thunderstorms will be with us for about 2 more days, then it switches to the southwest, changing the timing. We'll talk about that coming up in the next hour. Good chances for the afternoon storms today, 60% chance, and we're watching the far tropics for possible United States implications later on in the week. Next week, we'll have the forecast for you in a second.
Thank you, John. Next hour, we'll talk about a bank robber in Venice who has a gun in his holster and a cowboy hat on.
I look forward to hearing that story.
Yes. Serial bank robber in Cape Coral and Punta Gorda and Venice. That story.
All right. I'm intrigued, Ray. I'm intrigued.
Got your attention?
All right. That's right. We'll have more of John's forecast. We'll have an update on where Tropical Depression Gordon now is and everything else going on in the tropics. You are watching Good Morning Suncoast right here on ABC 7. The news continues for another hour.